Tane walked up to the group after football practice, clearly annoyed. He says, "Coach has been writing me about my grades. Says if I don't step up, I'm benched." Atlas, always quick to help, chimed in. "We can help you out, man. No big deal." But Tane shook his head, the annoyance evident in his voice. "Nah, I'm good. It's just, everything comes easy for you, Atlas. Football, grades, it's all a breeze. It's not the same for me." Olivia, ever the problem solver, leaned in with a suggestion. "You'll have an easier time with help. Trust me, we've got your back." Max, thinking practically, nodded. "I've got notes. You can borrow them if you want." Elsa, with her usual sweetness, smiled. "Max is so good with taking notes. It'll really help." Tane was still hesitating, but Sebastian, always the one to keep things light. "Come on, man. We can make it fun. Who says studying can't be a good time?" With a final sigh, Tane gave in. Tane was clearly not thrilled at the idea of studying. Olivia, with her usual determination, tapped a textbook. "Come on, Tane, just a few more pages, then we're done." Meanwhile, Atlas and Sebastian lounged on beach towels nearby. Then suddenly, Sebastian's face lit up with an idea. He stood up, brushing the sand off his shorts. "Hey, maybe Tane's a kinesthetic learner." Sebastian grinned. "You know, he learns better by doing. Why don't we throw the football around while he learns vocab? Multitask." The boys grabbed a football and started tossing it around, calling out vocabulary words as they played. Olivia shook her head with a smirk, but even she had to admit it was working. Tane was fully engaged and the studying became fun. Mateo had found himself at the cafe more and more these days. It wasn't just the coffee keeping him there. It was the ease he felt being around Candy again, even if things were different now. Candy shot Mateo a playful grin. "You know, one Cruz brother hanging around here all the time was enough. Now I've got two, what gives?" Mateo chuckled. "Hey, I can't help it if this place has the best coffee in town." The cafe started to fill up as more customers walked in. Candy's playful smile shifted slightly to a stressed one. As the orders started piling up, she glanced at Mateo, the glint in her eyes unmistakable. "Since you're here all the time, how about you give me a hand? I'm kinda short-staffed tonight." Mateo didn't hesitate. With a smirk, he stood up. All right. I guess I owe you for all the free caffeine." As they worked side by side, the cafe buzzed with life. It was different now. There was no lingering tension from the past, no fire burning too hot. Just a simple, easy friendship. Mateo was happy to be in her life, even if it was just as a friend, and now I guess a part-time barista. This time, textbooks were exchanged for controllers. As the boys sprawled across the living room, Tane, Atlas, and Sebastian argued over who would take the next round of video games. "All right, here's the deal," Sebastian declared with a grin, holding up a controller. "One chapter finished, one round of video games. Fair trade, right?" Max, sitting off to the side, hadn't picked up a controller. Olivia noticed his quiet demeanor, the way he seemed distant compared to the usual banter. She leaned over, her voice soft but teasing. "Max, you're usually all in when it comes to games. What's wrong? Something on your mind?" Max hesitated before replying, his tone more serious than usual. It's nothing. My dad. He's been sick lately." Olivia's face softened. She nudged him gently, her tone warm. "I'm sorry to hear that. You know, you can talk about it, right?" Max gave her a half-hearted smile. "Thanks, Liv, but I'm good." It was clear he didn't want to dwell on it, so Olivia dropped the subject, sensing the weight he was carrying, but respecting his need for space. The group carried on, the sound of laughter filling the house as the boys drove back into their playful rivalry, but Max stayed quiet, his thoughts somewhere else. Mateo stood behind the counter, his sleeves rolled up as he helped Candy during the cafe's evening rush. The playful teasing between them felt effortless now, as if all the years of tension had melted away. They shared an easy smile. It wasn't the fiery romance it once was, but it felt good, like they were finally on the same page. And honestly, Mateo was just happy to have a place in her life, even if it came with the side of customer service. Meanwhile, the teens continued to study all week. making it fun and lighthearted. Tane was finally catching on and learning the material. Mateo and Candy moved in sync, working together as more customers came in. Every now and then, their hands brushed, both of them pretending not to notice. The friendship was easy, but there was that familiar spark. Mateo couldn't help but feel it, even if he was trying not to dwell on it. Their group was still going strong, swapping out study methods like they were competing for extra credit. The night wore on and the camaraderie never faded, even if some of them were just there to goof off. It was game day and the stadium was electric. Elsa led the cheerleaders and their routine, her smile as bright as the stadium lights. But down on the field, all eyes were on Atlas and Tane. Sebastian shouted encouragement from the stands, a grin plastered across his face. "Let's go, Tane! Let's win this!" Atlas sent the ball flying through the air, and for a moment, everything seemed to slow. Tane reached for it. This was his moment, but then it happened. Tane went down hard, the crowd gasping in unison. A stunned silence fell across the stadium as Tane withered on the ground, clutching his legs. Sebastian's face twisted in disbelief, his excitement turning into frustration. "No way! After all that hard work, we're gonna lose?" Olivia's patience finally snapped. She spun towards Sebastian, her voice cutting through the tense air. "Are you serious right now? This isn't about your hard work going to waste, Sebastian." Sebastian blinked, startled by Olivia's outburst. She wasn't joking this time. "You should be worried about Tane," Olivia continued, her voice sharp with disappointment. "He's the one who's hurt, and you're making this about yourself? How about you try cheering him up instead?" The word stung, but Olivia was right. As Sebastian looked out on the field, seeing Tane being helped to the bench, the weight of the situation finally hit him. The team had lost the game, but Tane had lost more.